Hello, thank you very much for taking time to be with me and discuss this subject of mentoring program managers and how to value their roles, their skills. And before I start, I would like to introduce Vlad Dutescu, who is with me too, and he will participate and share his view on mentoring, because he's also a mentoring expert.
Thank you for having me. I am from Bucharest, Romania, member of EMCC, Vice President of Community and Partnership, and I had the honor during the DPS conference in late of last year to be the help for Dominique. And it was a very interesting session about mentoring programs that raised a lot of questions. And it was a very structured and very well presented. And I'm glad to be again here with many of you and hope to have a nice and interesting and great learning about what is mentoring and what is a mentoring program.
Thank you, Vlad. So I've been a mentoring expert for about 10 years, helping businesses and organizations to implement their mentoring programs. And while I was gaining experience, I started asking myself a lot about mentoring program management. And I had the opportunity to write 2 books on the subject, co-write 2 books on the subject. And I would like to share some of my questions and see if you also have same experiences, if you want to talk about what you feel about that, if you know the subject, and I will enjoy the discussion and hope we can, share a lot together. So, Nicola, I think there's a small survey to see who you are, what you know about mentoring, and so on, so I can maybe answer your questions or share better with you. Okay, great. So there are many mentors among you. Some 4% have no experience at all, and 38% are already program managers, external consultants. And okay, great. So I will be speaking about formal mentoring programs that are implemented by organizations with the help of either mentoring experts or mentoring coordinators or administrators inside the organization. And what we see today is that kind of mentoring is developing very quickly. Why? Because it values human capital inside the companies, and there has been a lot of studies and surveys that show that mentoring is helping to break isolation, especially during this crisis with remote working, with all difficulties to work alone and so on. And it also helps to bring support to employees, and businesses are also very keen on mentoring programs. There's a survey that was conducted recently that showed that about 55% of businesses who have implemented these programs say that it was good for their productivity and profits. So there's a lot to show that this process is a very beneficial process, of course, for organizations, for mentors, for mentees, and that means that you need trained and qualified professionals to run these programs. So when I think of my own experience, I remember when I started benchmarking and reading a lot of literature on the subject in 10 years, the knowledge about mentoring is increasing, but there's also a lack of focus on mentoring program managers. That's what I feel, and we will maybe talk about that later, and I will ask you what you feel about it. Because successful mentoring programs need strong support. I will share a little bit of slides, not too many, but show you why I think you have to focus on these professionals. As I said, I read a lot of literature on the subject 10 years ago and recently, and the focus is very often on the mentor, how to train the mentor, how to develop mentoring skills for mentors. Of course, you talk about mentees or the benefits for the mentees, but not really on what skills these professional consultants, either consultants or inside the company, need. So it's starting to change because you find some few trainings, but not very many. These consultants, consultant, they know what to do, they know how to implement mentoring programs, but inside companies, inside businesses or organizations, it's not their main activity. They have other things to do, and mentoring, organizing mentoring takes time and also takes qualification. There was a study that we made in France. So yes, I didn't say I'm from Paris. In France, by EMCC, a small study with 10 major French companies internationally based. And what we saw was that these companies only hired a consultant, but inside the company, there was no one to support the program. And some of these mentoring programs were not successful because of many reasons that we will talk about. So I would like to share now a few slides, and then I will let you share in breakout rooms so you can, exchange, and we'll come back again. Is that okay for you? Now we're going to focus on mentoring. Who will be in charge and what do they have to do? That's the question. Yes, as I said, well, you have more and more organizations today, and especially in this time of crisis, who want to implement mentoring programs for mentees to break isolation, to give more meaning to their jobs, to help them grow quicker, many reasons to implement these mentoring programs. And more of these programs are formal. As I said, when I started 10 years ago, what I saw, especially in France, was that there were no formal programs. you just said, well, let's list a number of mentors and list a number of potential mentees, ask the mentees to meet the mentors, and that's it. But unfortunately, it didn't work like that. So now the question is rising about qualified professionals who can run the mentoring programs from inside, especially, as I said, because it's not their main activities. And I suppose it's the same with coaching. You have internal coaches who have to run a strategy of mentoring, but they're not always, trained enough, or they're not supported politically inside the company enough. So there are many issues about these questions. So my question is, what knowledge, skills, experience do they need? How to train them, evaluate them, and how can businesses value their role and their experience? Because they have to learn a lot, they have to focus a lot. You have now chief happiness officers that help employees with a lot of activities, but you could have a chief mentoring officer maybe, and his role should be valued because mentoring is developing a lot. And also, how can EMCC raise awareness on the subject? What about accreditation, certification? Of course, not too many of these evaluations, but how can you, talk more about their role? For those who are not too familiar with mentoring, I would like to just sum up what formal mentoring programs are and why it is so powerful. Because you have many people involved, mentors, of course, groups of mentors, groups of mentees, and they work for individual development of the mentee. The mentors work for the development of the mentee, but it's a mutual relationship where you share knowledge, and also it is a way to connect people together, because these mentoring programs, they can involve from 10 pairs, mentors, mentees, to 100 pairs of mentors, mentees, like to help women grow quicker, or to help new hires, to develop new skills, to grow better, quicker. So it has a lot of impact on the organization. It is a virtuous process, and it is very transformational for everybody, for the mentors, mentee, and the organization, because the culture of the organization will grow, because of all the connection you have inside the mentoring people who attend these mentoring programs, who benefit from this mentoring program. So it's both individual growth and collective growth. So now I would like to Nicola have
hello everybody.
Yes, let you reflect on what are the main ingredients to make successful mentoring programs. As I said, it's collective, it will bring benefit to mentors and mentee to the organization. But what is the role of these, what is needed to make a successful program? Is that clear? Please share what you have reflected on.
Hello, everybody.
Yes.
In our group, we agreed to make characteristics that the course will have to have a person responsible for it. And Sue was saying, instead of calling him or her manager, ambassador. Okay. And we also thought that this person should have access to the leadership programs or any other programs running into the organization, and also to have some kind of artificial intelligence machine or tool for doing the matching between the needs of the mentees and the qualifications of the mentors.
Okay. Yes, it's an interesting one actually, because I sort of am not sure about that matching process, and I think it has to be a very intelligent system to be able to do that well, because the whole concept of mentoring is about finding somebody you have a role model who's a role model for you, and to really think about you know, what you want from your career development or whatever it is. So actually being matched by somebody who doesn't really know you or the other person, and I just really question whether it's successful. It's a very easy way for organizations to manage a process. That's really what it's about.
Do you are you a program manager? Do you use artificial intelligence already?
For me, or?
Yes.
Me? No, I'm actually a consultant who works with organizations to help them build mentors, mentees, or train them. Mm-hmm. But I used to be a mentor manager, if you like, in my previous role years ago, and we used to do this matching system, and so that's where I get mine. Never quite worked well.
Yes, I see all the contributions.
Our group, Nate and Nathalie, came up with a few things: content and positional experience from the mentors. So those are two different things, but knowing how to do the job and being in that job, if you like, previously. The matching process was, we talked about a bit, was matching and chemistry, as I think Sue was just suggesting then. Then we had a discussion about the use of external and internal mentors, covering different things. Mm-hmm. And something I added, which is a particular soapbox of mine, return on investment or measurement of value. Yes. Did Nate or Nathalie have anything to add to that?
No, I think you are quite complete. I just add that I saw now some mentoring external from companies within associations or for university with actual alumni matched with ex-alumni. But in the case, the matching was not done by the university, was proposed, and the student chooses between 4 people, 4 potential, or the student says, I would like to be mentored by this, this, and this, and then those people can accept or not, and then the matching is done. So it can be both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Our group, can I mention room 8? The essential for successful or sustained mentoring program would include clarity of purpose of the mentoring program, alignment with the company's purpose, both external and internal managers and advocates of the program, and also initial demonstrations and testimonies of success in maybe a small handful of cases. And one of us emphasized that the success of the program, essential points are sort of generic. The success factors in any kind of program would count also for a mentoring program. So he saw nothing peculiar to mentoring as that would be different for making sure any other kind of program would be successful.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, Dominique.
Yes.
Dominique, it's Arshad and Louise. Just high-level feedback. In addition to what we've heard so far, we were discussing around the shift from informal to formal mentoring. So part of the formalization, the role that we're discussing or describing is very important as a critical success factor. And the other thing, in addition, was the sponsorship. Having a good, strong sponsor, and it's not sponsorship. Yeah, that sounds okay. But a sponsor who can role model as a mentor and champion the program, not for 1 month, 2 months, but actually ongoing. And having a very strong, visible, active sponsor is really pivotal to the success. In addition to what we've heard, and linking it very tightly from experiencing that if it's not linked to a clear business strategy, and I think we've seen in the chat around alignment, that is really critical as well. Otherwise, it can be kind of a good fad and it lasts for 6 months, and then everybody goes home and does the informal mentoring, and then we lose the the momentum. And sustaining it is a real problem, as you know better, Dominique. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you on the sponsorship. Has anyone something else to add before I? Yes. Okay. Kunal?
So that's something related to what we spoke as well. So we discussed how I have worked in a corporation, and most of the mentoring programs there were not necessarily formalized. And we discussed the rationale for accreditation in a group and whether it would make sense, who should get accredited. And I was of the opinion, based on the organization that I have seen, it might probably make sense for maybe one person to go through a formal training or accreditation and then be the contact person for the rest of them, or maybe help structure the mentoring throughout the organization.
You mean accreditation for the program manager or for?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. External mentoring is more structured comparing to internal mentoring, more casual. That used to be the case, but I think that's changing, related to the ability of CEOs to manage organizational cultures. I agree also. About paying mentors, performance assessment on mentee success. Well, that might be difficult because it's difficult to evaluate the success of the mentee related to and to pin the mentor's evaluation to the success of the mentee. Well, I'll go on with a few slides, and I welcome you to contribute again if you want. What you all said was also what I think. To make a successful program, you have to think about time, of course. How long will the program be? How much time do you want to give to that program? Either from the CEO, because he has to support the program, advocate the program. This, as you said, Arshad, good and successful program needs sponsorship. So you need sponsors to give time to the mentoring program. You have to have a serious framework that everybody understands, because sometimes you have difficulties in the perception of mentoring, who's inside, how it's organized, and so on. So you have to communicate about the framework and help the company build a program with a serious framework. As you said, all said, clear objectives, good planning also, good planning and clear support to the program all along its duration, because you will need to see if mentors and mentees get along, if you have any difficulties and so on. Adequate matches, you all said that. What I would add was trained mentors and trained mentees, or at least informed mentors and informed mentees, but you have to train them to listening skills, coaching skills, listening skills, both mentees and mentors, because sometimes the mentee don't know what to expect from the mentor and don't know what to how to be active and proactive during this relationship. So training is very, very important. You have to have a long-term communication, as we said, to have everybody understand the same thing at the same time, what is expected from them, how long it will last, what are the objectives of the organization, and so on. Measured costs, because it costs something to organize a mentoring program. If you hire an expert, external expert, it will, of course, cost you the fees of the external expert, and also you have costs inside, because you have to give time to the mentors and to the mentees to meet, and this is also a cost inside the company. And of course, you have to think about ethics of the whole program, how and the mentoring program managers will be the one who will be ensure about ethics of the whole process. And of course, what the session is about, you have to have qualified professionals, because their roles is huge, from assessing needs to valuing the process. You have so many stages that will need, depending on the companies. Some companies are have enough teams to support the program, to design the program, manage it, to monitor it, to measure it, and to value it. Sometimes they don't. So where do you find them? How do you train them? That's the question. And the expert, the external expert, cannot do without somebody inside who will be his counterpart, and who will, be there to listen to difficulties, support the pairs, mentors and mentee pairs when something is going wrong, and so on. So I have to hurry up because I think the time is going quickly. So here is a list of tasks that both mentors and mentees together can do. But as I said, when we organized this EMCC survey in 2015, mentors and mentees and people from the companies said that they lacked someone inside to be, their correspondent. They have to have somebody inside, and somebody who understands about what mentoring is about, what is expected from the company, what is expected from the mentors, and what is expected from the mentees. Do you agree with that? Yeah. Okay.
And it's a nice question from the chat. Maybe we have time to say a bit about mentoring supervision.
Yes. So mentoring, that's a question. Mentoring supervision, I didn't mention it, but it is in the support, because when you train mentors, especially to help them develop coaching skills, and also because they will develop skills to support their mentees. Some organizations provide supervision, but otherwise, what we call supervision, but otherwise, what we suggest is always to support mentors with practice sharing, and support mentees also with practice sharing. Because sometimes mentors, they don't know where to stop helping people. You know, they want to solve all mentees' problems sometimes, and it's not what they've been asked. Their task is to help the mentee grow, to help him organize himself better between his personal and professional life, and so on, to give his experience, to give to be a role model, but not to solve all the problems. Okay, so about the role, a little bit more of the role of the mentoring program manager. He's both an administrator and a facilitator, as I said. He's the one who will communicate with the sponsor, with the CEO, with the communication team, with the learning and development team, with the HRs, if he's not HR himself. And he will listen to all different points of view, sometimes solve difficulties, resolve tensions, find solutions, and so on. And he also administrates.
Sorry, could I ask a question?
Yes.
There was a question in chat from Jeffrey, I think Ong, and it was a good question about the multitasking of the HR manager. Should the HR manager be the project manager's mentor? Won't that isn't that multitasking by the HR manager?
Well, I
overwhelming?
Think it depends on the size of the company. It depends on the size of the program. I should say that the HR manager needs to have somebody from the team to be this coordinator, to have somebody with him. And sometimes what happens is that a program is starting and somebody from the team of the program manager leaves the company. So what happens? You need support. So depending on the size of the company, we will not need only one program managers, but a team of program managers, and depending, of course, of the size of the program. Some programs are huge, so you need many people to run them. Do you agree with all that, administrator, facilitator? The tasks are really very big, and as I said, usually it's not their main activities inside an organization or a company. They have to do their own job, but what would be really, I think the best is to have somebody, if mentoring grows, somebody really dedicated to running mentoring programs, monitoring mentoring programs, especially if we have many companies now, international companies now in France that are developing many programs for local offices. So we have programs in Asia, programs in Europe, programs in the States, and somebody needs to monitor these programs and to have an overview of what is going on, because it's also part of the image of the company. And you can communicate on successful mentoring programs and show how good employer you are. So it's also very important to have good professionals. So in my point of view, you have training for these professionals should develop more and more because they need many skills, to develop many skills. And it's about program management, it's about communication, it's about giving support, and it's about understanding coaching principle, coaching skills, and it's about, you know, gaining also many skills. So I think my lies, I would like you to, you know, tell me if you have more questions, and I invite you to communicate with me if you need more information. And I was really pleased to start this dialogue. So I hope it was the case for you too. There's a lot to say about the subject. As I said in the beginning, mentoring is developing everywhere. It's developing in Europe because it has long been implemented in the United States, in Anglo-Saxon countries like Australia and also the UK. David Clutterbuck has wrote a lot about it, but it's also developing in Asia. And in China, especially, because we are working together with Arshad with Mentoring Co. In China. So there's a lot to, you know, to say and to grow and to help grow on this subject.